Today is October 22nd, 2017, and these are the stories that matter. Headline: U.S. warns public about attacks on energy industrial firms. The U.S. government issued a rare public warning that sophisticated hackers are targeting energy and industrial firms, the latest sign that cyber attacks present an increasing threat to the power industry and other public infrastructure. The Department of Homeland Security and FBI warned in a report distributed by email late on Friday that nuclear, energy, aviation, water, and critical manufacturing industries have been targeted along with government entities in attacks dating back to at least May. The agencies warned that hackers had succeeded in compromising some targeted networks but did not identify specific victims or describe any cases of sabotage. The objective of the attackers is to compromise organizational networks with malicious emails and tainted websites to obtain credentials for accessing computer networks of their targets, the report said. U.S. authorities have been monitoring the activity for months, which they initially detailed in a confidential June report first reported by Reuters. That document, which was privately distributed to firms at risk of attacks, described a narrower set of activity focusing on the nuclear, energy, and critical manufacturing sectors. The report said that hackers have succeeded in infiltrating some targets, including at least one energy generator, and conducting reconnaissance on their networks. It was accompanied by 6 technical documents describing malware used in the attacks. Cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike said the technical indicators described in the report suggested the attacks were the work of a hacking group it calls Berserk Bear, which is affiliated with the Russian Federation and has targeted the energy, financial, and transportation industries. Headline: Trump to release JFK files subject to further information. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Saturday that subject to receipt of further information, he planned to allow the opening of long secret files on the November 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy, due for release next week. Politico magazine earlier quoted Trump administration and other U.S. government officials as saying the president would almost certainly block the release of information from some of the 1,000 of classified files, which the U.S. National Archives is scheduled to make public by an October 26 deadline. Quote, "Subject to the receipt of further information, I will be allowing, as president, the long-blocked and classified JFK files to be opened," Trump said in a tweet. Quote, "The president believes that these documents should be made available in the interest of full transparency unless agencies provide a compelling and clear national security or law enforcement justification otherwise," end quote, a White House official said. Thousands of books, articles, TV shows, movies, and documentaries have been produced about the assassination, and surveys have shown a majority of Americans still distrust official evidence pointing to Lee Harvey Oswald as the sole killer. Despite serious questions about the official inquest and theories purporting that organized crime, Cuba, or a cabal of U.S. security agents was involved, conspiracy theorists have yet to produce conclusive proof Oswald acted in consort with anyone. Over the years, the National Archives has released most documents related to the case, but a final batch, amounting to tens of thousands of pages, remains, and only Trump has the authority to decide whether some should continue to be withheld or released in redacted form. The Washington Post and other media have quoted officials as saying that the government agencies have lobbied Trump to withhold some of the documents, arguing that they could expose relatively recent intelligence and law enforcement operations. Line: President says Raqqa fall a critical breakthrough. U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday hailed the defeat of Islamic State fighters in their self-proclaimed capital of Raqqa as a, quote, a critical breakthrough, end quote, in a worldwide campaign against the militants. On Friday, the Kurdish-dominated Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, formally announced Raqqa's liberation from Islamic State after 4 months of battles and said the city would be part of a decentralized federal Syria. Quote, "Together, our forces have liberated the entire city from ISIS control," end quote, Trump said in a statement. Quote, "The defeat of ISIS in Raqqa represents a critical breakthrough in our worldwide campaign to defeat ISIS and its wicked ideology. With the liberation of ISIS's capital and the vast majority of its territory, the end of the ISIS caliphate is in sight," end quote. Trump said the U.S. campaign against Islamic State would soon enter a new phase in which the United States would quote, "support local security forces, de-escalate violence across Syria, and advance the conditions for lasting peace so that the terrorists cannot return to threaten our collective security again," end quote. "Together with our allies and partners, we will support diplomatic negotiations that end the violence, allow refugees to return safely home, and yield a political transition that honors the will of the Syrian people," he said. Trump's statement made no mention of the future of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. He also did not spell out how the United States would support local security forces. A White House spokesman said U.S. policy towards Assad, quote, "remains the same," end quote. U.S. officials have said Assad has no future governing Syria, and U.S. envoy to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, said last month a stable Syria was not possible while he remained in place. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is pressing Saudi Arabia and Iraq to form a united front to counter Iran's growing assertiveness in the Middle East. Tillerson has participated in the inaugural meeting of a Saudi-Iraqi coordination committee along with the Saudi king and Iraq's prime minister. Tillerson tells those leaders that the meeting highlights already improving ties and, quote, "the great potential of the relations between your countries," end quote. Tillerson is seeking Saudi financial and political support for Iraq as Iraq struggles to rebuild after ousting the Islamic State group from major cities and deals with an independence movement in its northern Kurdish region. The Directors Guild of America announced Saturday it has filed disciplinary charges against disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein. The group said it filed the charges on October 13th. Weinstein has been expelled from the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, the Producers Guild, and the British Academy of Film and Television Arts in the weeks since the New York Times and the New Yorker published exposés alleging decades of sexual misconduct by Weinstein. The Television Academy, which bestows Emmy Awards, said a disciplinary hearing set for November could lead to termination of his membership. More than 40 women have accused the 65-year-old Weinstein of harassment or abuse. Weinstein has denied all allegations of non-consensual sex. The Directors Guild issued a statement condemning sexual harassment in general following a board meeting in New York on Sunday. Quote, "There must be no tolerance for such deplorable abuses of power," end quote, the statement said. Quote, "This isn't about one person. We must recognize sexual harassment is endemic in our society and painfully in our industry," end quote. The group added that, quote, "every individual has a right to a safe workplace," end quote. An attorney for Weinstein did not immediately return call seeking comment. Houston Astros headed to the World Series. Jose Altuve embraced Justin Verlander as confetti rained down. An improbable thought just a few years ago, the Houston Astros are headed to the World Series. Charlie Morton and Lance McCullers Jr. combined on a three-hitter. Altuve and Evan Gattis homered, and the Astros reached the World Series for only the second time by blanking the New York Yankees 4-0 Saturday night in Game 7 of the AL Championship Series. Next up for the Astros, Game 1 against the Los Angeles Dodgers on Tuesday night. Los Angeles opened as a narrow favorite. The Astros will try for their first World Series title, thanks in large part to Altuve, the diminutive second baseman who swings a potent bat, and Verlander, who switched teams for the first time in his career to chase a ring. 4 years removed from their third straight 100-loss season in 2013, the Astros shut down the Yankees on consecutive nights after dropping 3 in a row in the Bronx. The only previous time the Astros made it this far, they were a National League team when they were swept by the Chicago White Sox in 2005. The Astros also eliminated New York in the 2015 season. Folks, those are the top stories today, October 22nd, 2017. Do not have a great day. Go out and make it a great day. Thanks for being here.